and we're talking about the Abrahamic covenant and the blessing of God and the cursing of God, and a reminder to our nation as our White House and our administration seeks to divide the land of Israel behind the scenes with tremendous economic and political pressure. The Abrahamic covenant says, those that bless Israel I will bless, and those that curse Israel I will curse. Now, it's very unfortunate that people in our State Department, our war colleges, in political life in the White House are, sadly to say, biblically illiterate. Many of them are non-believers, and they do not understand the catastrophic consequences of disobeying or violating the covenant of God. And again, those that bless thee I will bless, those that curse thee I will curse. So when you make plans to divide up Israel, you essentially set up the pattern to shatter it, and God will shatter you. If you divide up Israel, God will allow you to be divided. If you allow Israel to be nuked, you open the door for you to be nuked. If you divide up the land of Israel, God may divide up the land of the United States of America in the Midwest with the New Madrid fault. There's a sowing and reaping here that's far greater than our human ability to deal with it. Now, Ezekiel goes far into the future. And it talks about a war that many people think is part of Armageddon, but in actuality, I believe this is a war that occurs before Armageddon. And I believe that we're right on the threshold of Ezekiel 38, or what is also known as the War of Gog and Magog. And I want to read you something from Ezekiel 38, because Ezekiel 38 is in position to happen now. And first I'll read it to you, and then I'll explain why. In Ezekiel 38, it says, "Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog, the land of Magog, the prince of Russia." And Magog could be Central Asia or Afghanistan. There are other interpretations. Meshach and Tubal, prophesy against him, and say, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the prince of Rush, Meshach, and Tubal. So God is against this group of nations, and the leadership of these group of nations will be Russia and Iran and China and an alliance of Middle Eastern nations who have a united hate for Israel that's irrational. And thus says the Lord God, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the prince of Rush, Meshach, and Tubal. I will turn you around, put hooks into your jaws, lead you out with all your army, horses and horsemen, all splendidly clothed, a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, or Iran, because Persia is Iran, Ethiopia, we've been reading about that in the news, Libya, we've been reading about that in the news, are with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all its troops, the house of Togarmah, which could be Germany or Turkey, from the far north, and all its troops. Many people are with you. So many of the people that are involved in the invasion of Israel in the last days in what's called the War of Gog and Magog are to the far north, which would be nations like Turkey and Germany and Russia and so on. Prepare yourself and be ready, you and all your companies that are gathered about you, and be a guard for them. Now remember, what is about to transpire is a fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant. After many days you will be visited in the latter years, the last days. You will come into the land of those brought back from the sword, and gathered from many people in the mountains of Israel, which had been long desolate. They were brought out of the nations, and now all of them dwell safely. What that's talking about is that God prophesied that the ancient Jews, after